Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So I just got done seeing Evil Dead Rise and I can't believe I'm saying this. You don't need Bruce Campbell as Ash in an Evil Dead film for it to be a fun time. You really don't. Lee Cronin is the director of Evil Dead Rise and he 100% delivered with this movie. You also don't need to have a cabin in the woods to have a great Evil Dead movie. I actually found myself enjoying this film a hell of a lot more than the 2013 remake by Fede Alvarez, and I think the main reason for that is because it was totally different. This one focuses a lot more on family, and whilst I guess you could say that the Evil Dead 2013 movie did sort of have family elements because you had Mia and David as brother and sister, every character in this film is related. All the main characters anyway, they're all related, so it definitely sort of plays on that fear of, I guess, you know, let's take the original film for example. You're not just sort of hacking up your girlfriend or your best friend. This is your family that you're dealing with, so it's very sort of hard to deal with in that sense. Now, before I go on any further, I do want to apologize in advance. There's going to be a lot of jump cuts in this video because it's all fresh in my mind. I want to briefly talk about Lee Cronin as a filmmaker and how he approached Evil Dead Rise. From what I've seen, and this is my first experience with Lee Cronin as a filmmaker, he's outstanding. He's absolutely outstanding. I swear to God, some of the shots in this movie I could have sworn were directed by Sam Raimi. I probably will do a spoiler review. The only thing I'm going to say for now is that the opening shot of the film, I could have sworn it was Sam Raimi doing all that. You can just tell that Lee Cronin is a fan and he knows his craft when talking about Evil Dead. I've seen him in interviews and he knows what he's doing. And I would really love to see him go further with this franchise. And you know what? This franchise is still going strong to this day. It began in 1981, and here it is now with Evil Dead Rise, and it's still going strong. There is not a single bad film in this franchise. The original will always remain my favorite film of all time. The whole Sam Raimi's trilogy is just absolutely amazing. It's my favorite film trilogy of all time. If I was to rank the entire franchise, including the 2013 movie and this movie, I'm going to just leave Ash vs. Evil Dead aside. The original obviously comes top, but this is in the top 3. It's definitely up there. If you're an Evil Dead fan, go and watch this with a packed audience. Absolutely, you will not be disappointed. I also want to briefly talk about the 2 main leads in this movie, and that is Elisa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan. They carry this movie. Elisa Sutherland, who plays Ellie, the mother and the main demon in this movie. Oh my goodness. Wow. Speechless, absolutely speechless. There is I've got to tread carefully here. Well, I guess I can talk about this because we saw it in the trailer. There's a sequence where she's possessed at this point and she's looking through the peephole of the door. We saw it in the trailer, but where it goes from there is, pardon my French, fucking insane. It is absolutely insane what goes on from there and what we didn't see in the trailer, of course. Those 2 actresses, I think, really carried this movie. They were absolutely amazing, and I'd never seen any of their work as well. I also think that the kid actors were really good as well, and I think that's really good for a horror movie, because especially Evil Dead, because we haven't seen kids in the Evil Dead franchise, and they're gonna need fucking therapy after this. They're gonna need some right therapy after this. Oh my god. Very briefly as well, I want to talk about some homages without giving any spoilers away, really. Of course, you know, there were going to be some homages in here. There were some homages in the 2013 remake. So I knew going into this movie there was going to be, you know, a few bits here and there relating to the franchise. These are some of the best homages I've seen. I can't talk about them a lot because this is not a spoiler review. All I can say is that there were a few homages to Evil Dead 2. This isn't really a spoiler, but there is a music cue that takes place at some point in the film after the book is found that is taken directly from Evil Dead 2. There is also one homage which I absolutely loved, and it's on a box. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about, but I'm just trying to do this without giving too much away. And again, this isn't really a spoiler. It's not giving any plot details away, so I can say this. One of the most iconic sounds in the Evil Dead franchise is the sound of buzzing flies. It's the first thing we hear in the original movie, and it's one of the first things we hear at the start of this movie. And you can just imagine when I heard that, I was just grinning from ear to ear. And it's also the last thing we hear in this movie. Just for that to be in there just makes me so happy as a long-time Evil Dead fan. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it with the homages, because I feel like if I say any more, I'm going to go on, and I'm probably just going to accidentally spoil something. So I want to leave it there and save it for the spoiler review. One of the last things I do want to say is, at some point I knew, and Lee Cronin said this, he said this on Twitter, I think it was, at some point we knew that Bruce was going to be in the movie somehow. And I heard his voice. I definitely heard his voice. That's not a spoiler because Lee Cronin actually said, you know, the first person to either find Bruce in the movie, I will give them, I think, $50 or something like that. So yeah, so we knew that Bruce was going to be in the movie somehow, some shape or form. And I found his voice for sure. And I'm not saying where I found his voice, but I definitely found his voice in the film. So as you can tell, I absolutely loved this movie. However, there was one line of dialogue said by the character Beth in the climax of the movie which I thought was really unnecessary. And when she said it, I literally did this. And when I did that, my friend looked over at me as if to say, what? And he didn't clock on at first, but then after we left the cinema, I told him, and he was like, oh yeah, I agree, that, no. So it was just a bit unnecessary. But you know what? That's one thing I didn't like about the film. That is my only flaw with the film. Just one line of dialogue, very short line of dialogue. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, I thought it was really unnecessary, and someone else said it better. Sorry. So I think that's all I'm going to say for now. I do want to try and keep this brief. There is a hell of a lot more I want to talk about, believe me, but I can't say it right now because this is a spoiler-free review. At some point down the line, there will be a spoiler review, and I'll touch upon the all the homages and everything that I couldn't talk about right here. Finally, I do want to say this. Lee Cronin, you have just made an Evil Dead fan very, very happy. And he's not watching this, of course he's not, but that's just how I feel. And I think the reason why I feel the way I do about this movie is because it is totally different. I feel like it's something we haven't seen before in this franchise. We haven't seen a family trapped in an apartment complex dealing with these demons in the Evil Dead franchise. And I think this was such a strong entry into the franchise, and this franchise is still going strong today, and I can't wait to see what's next. I really can't. I'm hoping somewhere down the line, like Sam Raimi, Lee Cronin gets another shot at the Evil Dead. So that's it from me, and as always, take care.